This is the 18th season of Bass Talk Live. With your host, Matt Pangrath. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries.
BTL, coming at you!
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, the last BTL before the Thanksgiving break. Tried to squeeze a couple of extra shows in this week. Originally was going to take the week off, but then Ben Milliken made his announcement last week that he was fishing all 9 opens. I got a little bit of an inside scoop there. If you listen to BTL last week, you know that Ken Duke took the under on 75 guys finishing all 9 of the Bassmaster Opens. I don't think I'll get in trouble if I say this now. I know I won't get in trouble because I'd ask if I get in trouble, and I said I wouldn't get in trouble. There's over 175 guys signed up for all 9 Opens, folks. Over 175 that are in for the EQs in 2019. Oh, and it is that time of the year when school is not in session. I probably need to crank up the rock music for this. Come on, move the camera there. You just walked into the studio. I didn't know if this was going to happen, but it is. We got to go with the hardest of the 4. There it is right there. Oh, my gosh. This is not a Mark After Dark. You're going to lose the connectivity for the camera, Mark. If that stays, it's a miracle. Sit down. Do you have audio?
Yeah, I can barely hear the music.
You can barely, yeah, that's because I don't blow everyone's ears out with the music. It's kind of a new thing.
I have
a
BTO. Dentist appointment this morning.
I know, so. You're only on for 5 minutes. I did mention I didn't know.
Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. I didn't know if you'd be able to make it, but I saw your truck in the driveway when I came into the studio. The last month in the studio, the studio is going to be converted into a... Are you doing a bowling podcast, or what are you doing?
No. The boat is going to be right here where we're sitting. And then all the equipment is actually being moved into the office to where if I need to record any studio stuff or whatever for the media part of what I'm doing, I can do it in there. Okay. And then kids are going to come in here and they're going to learn how to drill bowling balls.
Oh, that sounds thrilling and exciting. Look at this. So this is your last kind of Thanksgiving break as the basketball coach, right?
Yeah, and we just got the football players yesterday. So yesterday was the first practice with our full team. Our point guard, he's injured. Probably, 2-3 weeks. Turned his ankle.
There's a picture, and I don't show it. That's what the room looks like right now. It's completely vacant. That's where the studio's going. So what I was thinking
we need foil. We need to put on the foil.
No. So that window, though, if I do the foil and I do the back wall with that,
it'll look good.
And then keep it, and then I'm going to keep some of the elements, like I can keep the cage, right?
Yeah, you got the truss.
The truss, that's what it is.
Yes.
How about the lights? Do I have to buy my own lights?
No, you can keep those.
I can keep the lights, too.
I think so. I don't think I'm going to need those.
All right.
So
what have you been up to?
No, listen, I just wanted
to... You literally have like 3 minutes before you have to leave.
Because I'm getting my teeth cleaned this morning. Huh. So I have to go to the dentist.
Are those all real?
No.
Which ones are fake?
The front teeth.
Oh, you have front fake teeth, too?
Yeah, you remember I got them knocked out riding my bike. When I was
no, I don't remember that.
12 years old. I told that story years ago. I told that story.
Oh, okay.
Fell down on my bike. I was doing tricks.
Was it around Christmas?
No.
I just wondered if you could actually wanted your 2 front teeth for Christmas.
No. Real quick, though, I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, as we gear up to the holiday season and putting up the Christmas lights tomorrow.
You're not doing it, are you?
Not outside.
No, you're past
inside.
That age.
Yeah.
You should not be putting out
reeds,
I'm
not getting on the ladder or anything. No. Just inside. And then getting ready. We open the season a week from Friday at Noble. and it's going to be a mess. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay, so I've mentioned it before. I talked about it with Frank, and I've talked about it on the shows. I'm not sure I fully understand what's going on, so that was one of the reasons why I wanted you in. There's a big red deal on basszone.com.
Yeah,
I thought that you had like a crazy recruiting budget, but
I do.
Okay.
I do, but this is just to try and keep up with some of the other programs when you're a program starting out. And I thought, all right, here's kind of a cool way to where if somebody wants to get a tax-deductible donation, they can do this. And in the process, I'm going to give them 2 Lowrance HDS Live 12s.
I don't know if our guest today will like that because he's in the business of selling HDS.
You know what John could do?
He could donate.
Tax deductible.
Because John doesn't have any upcoming expenses in 2023. He's just swimming in the Elite Series. You make the Elite Series, they just throw cash at you, right?
He needs a deduction. But no, anyway, here's how it works. If you want to make a tax deductible donation to the program, right, it's got to be, I'm at least trying to get $5,000 out of it.
Okay.
$5,000 is the minimum. So if you make a $5,000 donation, you're going to get 2 units. So if you want to, you can make a $5,000 donation, get the tax write-off for $5,000.
But what if someone makes $5,100? Then you're not on the hook for the $5,000.
No, it's the highest
bid.
What?
It's like a hybrid silent auction that only you could do and make complicated.
It's really easy. If you want to make a donation, and it's over $5,000, then I put the highest donation on the website. Now, if you notice on the link, the highest donation so far is 0.0. It's Blutowski. And I'm hoping that it's because Blutowski.
What is that?
Didn't you ever see Animal House?
No.
His GPA?
I'm sorry, I wasn't in a fraternity like
his
you.
GPA was 0.0.
Okay, I got you.
Anyway, if anybody's seen Animal House, you will get that. But right now, I have, this is the cool part. I have received donations from people that have just given $50, $100.
Fantastic.
So, they didn't want to make the jump where they get 2 Lowrance units. They just felt like, all right, here, I'll help Mark and his team out.
Head coach of the new expansion.
No, it's a brand new program.
SNU bowling, top level bowling. I mean, you'll be bowling against all the.
Here's the good news:
Wichita State, and OSU, and all that.
Listen to where I'm going. I am going to Kenosha, Wisconsin. You ever been there?
I'm sure I've been through there.
Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I'm actually flying into Milwaukee.
I've spent some time in Milwaukee in my day.
To sign one of the top players in the nation in this program.
Really?
Yeah.
Press conference, everything.
Not press conference. We're just, I felt that it was extremely necessary to make sure that this player receives all of the notoriety that he deserves.
Men's and women's team, too, though.
Men's and women's teams.
You got 10 minutes till you're supposed to be at the dentist.
I know. I'm good. It's 7 minutes away.
Okay. So you got 3 minutes.
It is it's an incredible thing for me in this program to land this caliber of player who is one of the top-ranked players nationally. So I'm very excited. His family is awesome. Mom and Dad could not meet a better pair of parents that are involved in this.
Are they watching BTL right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just was wondering. You're going awful hard on the recruiting trail there.
No. So, I'm heading to Kenosha, Wisconsin for 3 days. On December 17th. So here's the scoop, folks. If you want to make a donation to this program, I said on Mark After Dark, I will keep a ledger on all the expense that goes toward these kids in this program to make sure that everybody understands that 100% of your donation is going to go to this program. Heck, I've even put some of my money in. Okay? I already have a very nice donation from somebody in the industry of $10,000.
Wow.
Which is really, really cool, which is really going to help. So,
but they don't want the units.
Do what?
They don't want the units.
Didn't want the units. They're like, here, man. You know who it is? It is an SNU alum that I had no idea that is involved in the fishing industry.
Well, that's fantastic. Speaking of the fishing industry.
Yes.
Can I ask you one fishing question before you get out of
I may not have an answer, but
trust me, you'll have an answer.
Okay.
I did clear that it's okay to say
What?
175 signed up for all 9 of the Bassmaster Opens in 2023, the EQ, the elite qualifiers. Now, that being said, the payout structure has not been released yet. So that means you have at least 175 guys with a $7,200 entry fee and and 16.2 for all 9.
Yeah.
And for all we know, Bass will come out and say, hey, we'll give you a HDS Live to win and everyone else nothing. I mean, there's nothing. They legally could do that. Now, I don't think that obviously they're not going to do that. I'm sure they'll come out with it. That being said, does that surprise you?
It does.
The current
really
time and trend that over 175 are willing to go the open route in 2023?
It does. It really surprises me. I had no idea what the number is. But in this challenging economic really environment that everybody in this country is dealing with, from inflation, from the labor situation, from everything else that's taking place, from a money standpoint, for 175 guys to step up and say, hey, man, I'm going to spend, what is it, 40 grand? Is that what it is?
It depends on how you do it and where you're from.
30 to 40 grand?
30 to 40 grand, 100% to fish all 9 to actually do it.
I mean, that's quite the financial commitment. So not surprised, though, 175 guys, man, that's a lot.
Is that talking about the strength of Bassmaster and the EQs, or is that a sign of the
I don't know
issues that might be occurring across the board in the other leagues?
I don't know.
Because that's a big question, right?
I don't know.
That's a valid question.
It is a valid
not?
question, but I mean, like anything that I ever said on this show for a number of years, I wouldn't make a comment about that until I really kind of dove in and found out some facts and really kind of figured out what's going on. I find it quite interesting that 175 guys are willing to step up and make the financial commitment to be able to do that. Now, how it's all going to play out, here's something that you should do, Matt, because obviously you're going to be around 5 years from now. You should look at the list. So. You should look at the list of the 175 guys this year. Take it, put it in a drawer, leave it there. 5 years from now, go back to that list and see how many guys, number one, have made the Elite Series. Number two, are still involved in fishing at that level or higher. And number three, how many are totally long gone. Do that. Will you do that for me?
Sure.
Do you not think that would be a very interesting kind of tagline
absolutely.
on seeing how many guys?
Every time we do a studio clean out, you come across the 2006 Bassmaster Media Guide that has the 108 Elite Series guys that started in 2006, and it's amazing how many are still around, but also amazing how many are no longer around.
Take the list, put it in the drawer, and then take a look 5 years from now. How many
says
guys
165 of those guys are going to be unsatisfied. That is not true. There will be because so that's 10. So then take the 9. So there's 165. Yeah, but you're also going to have guys who win that don't make it.
Hey,
right?
Could they make a commercial? What's in your wallet? Might be a good theme for those guys.
Nothing.
Because no, they'll have a lot of credit cards on that trip. But seeing the guys, how many stay around from 5 years from now will be good. Look, I'm going to get out of here.
You're late.
I know, but listen, I greatly appreciate everybody so far that has made a donation to this team. Hopefully everybody understands, look, you make a donation, $5,000 or more, the highest committed donation will receive 2 brand new Lowrance HDS 12s.
Clay, 155 will be unsatisfied. So for a while there, just based on some of Clay's comments, I thought it might have been you moonlighting under the alias of Clay with some of your comments that came across. Just always a little bit skeptical of things. Yeah. But now that you're here and I see it, you're clearly not. It's not. No. It's clearly not you.
There's no ghosting. No ghosting. All right, everybody have a great Thanksgiving, and Mark After Dark will not make a return until
when it
sometime.
Does, though, I did have a couple requests. Actually, real quick, real cool story. One of the listeners of BTL listens to all the shows, fishes up in Wisconsin. His name's Bo Nishimura. Mm-hmm. I played hockey with him in Cincinnati in 2003. He was a defenseman.
Okay.
kind of lost contact. Actually, I'd had like a sprained ankle. I was trying to get back in the lineup. He was like the number 6 defenseman, was trying to get back in the lineup.
Okay.
My first practice fight, Bo and I dropped the mitts in the corner to try to show the coach that we wanted to get back, that we wanted to be in the lineup. And he called everyone together and said, these 2 guys, they showed the grit, the determination, coming off an injury, trying to get his way in the lineup, did it during practice.
Putting on the foil.
Put us both in the lineup for the rest of the season. Anyway, long story short, he got back into fishing, found BTL, was listening to it, and was like, holy cow, I played with this kid like 15 years ago.
That's cool.
I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know, but that's good. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm out of here. I got to get to the dentist.
We're going to run a quick commercial. I'm going to see if Jeffers can get the camera back. When we come back, John Soukup from the Bass Tank headquarters. It is Tuesday before Thanksgiving on BTL. Will be back right after this.
Your key to better fishing this season is Elite FS, now available at a new lower price. Get Elite FS 9 today for $9.99, and we'll throw in a C-Map reveal chart, our premium mapping solution, for free. Elite FS works with all state-of-the-art Lowrance sonar, from chirp, side scan, and down scan imaging with fish reveal to high-resolution active target live sonar. Elite FS9 and C-Map reveal. Offer ends August 31st.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket, because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up, you're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you want to just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you. No matter what the environment is, we want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
The KVD 100 jerkbait. 15 different colors. A perfect combination of roll, wiggle, and flash. Increased castability. 3D eyes. Premium black nickel hooks. KVD. Tie one on. Striking lures.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Tuesday. A little surprise visit there from the man, Mark Jeffries. And I totally remember during the break where I was going from. Anyway, Bo sent me a message and said, dude, can we get the Mark After Dark episodes on iTunes? So I got wrapped up in reminiscing of the days of old, and then so that was where that was going for. Also, before we bring John in, a couple of quick news and notes, since we won't be back until after Thanksgiving. U.S. Open announced that they are back on Lake Mojave, so Lake Mead not on the schedule next year. 2023 U.S. Open on Lake Mojave, October 16th through 18th. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I think that Josh Bertrand will probably be defending his belt there. Also, working on closing in on a design for Day 4's Loaded to the Cork t-shirt. That will be available before Thanksgiving. Frank got the designs from ATS Printing. They do a great job of bringing the stuff down. They do a ton of stuff for the industry and beyond. It's going to be like printed as you order it, so there won't be a waiting period, and then Frank's kind of putting his touch on it. We're going to go back, then we'll open the store back up before that. Also, just wanted to make a note, if you are looking to add batteries to your vessel for the upcoming season, you got a new boat, you're looking to put some new batteries in, Matt Looney from Pro Guide called, and he's like, dude, like, we run the commercial and stuff, you do realize there is a BTL discount code? And I was like, yeah, I'm not very good at discount codes and mentioning it, but it is just BTL. I think it's 10% off or more, I don't know. But if you're interested in that, you can either shoot me a message or just use BTL at ProGuideBatteries.com. Someone who probably has a lot of Black Friday specials and has a lot of stuff on their plate would be none other than John Soukup, who is joining us from the Bass Tank headquarters, which is like the new Bass Tank headquarters adjacent to the current Bass Tank headquarters, which is why all the trophies aren't in the background yet, as we described last time. What's up, John?
Hey, yeah. I don't know if I'll put the trophies in here.
No, you're going to keep it in the entryway?
Yeah, I kind of like letting people see them and reminiscing a little bit on that, but kind of like I kind of have some new trophies in mind here, you know?
Oh, Elite Series trophies, blue trophies. I go back and forth on that. So, like, I remember we've done, and FLW did some stuff, I think, where, like, was it Hawks trophy or one of the trophies, like, the guy kept it, like, just in a closet. And then you have other guys who have like whole trophy rooms, and some guys who are like, you're only as good as your last tournament, so they don't put the trophies up, and other guys who are like, wins are so rare in this that you have to celebrate it and remind yourself that you have the talent to get the job done. It's kind of weird how different guys look at that differently. I'm a guy, like, if I make the state team, that plaque's on the wall.
Yeah, me too. I like to celebrate them. I think they're good memories.
It is. It adds a little bit of confidence when you walk in, because you've had, like, if you have a couple of down derbies or something, you walk in and you're like, dude, I remember, like, crazy stuff happened in the last hour. Like, it can happen. It did happen.
Right.
So what's up? I mean, you've got to be swamped. You got the Elite Series coming up. You got a bunch of stuff going on at the Bass Tank. You got a ton of stuff on your plate right now, right? I mean, you seem fairly calm, collected, cool, and together right now.
Nah, that's about the only way to make it through when you got so much on your plate. Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year. It's not, I don't know, the off season is just preparation for business. I mean, I get back. Unfortunately, this last season lasted all the way through November for me. So I've really only been back at the office for 2 weeks. And now next year, it's going to be really nice, end of the season in August. And I counted 6 months next year where I won't have to compete in a tournament, and I'll be able to focus on family, business, holidays, things of that nature. So I'm really relaxed going into next year.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize the rigorous schedule on the water that you had this year between all of the NPFLs and the 9 Bassmaster Opens. 6 NPFLs or 5?
Yeah, 6.
6, 9, 6. So that's 15 major events. And this year's schedule was absolutely ridiculous with the Opens, with as many West Coast. So for the last 2 months, you've literally been going East Coast, home, East Coast, home, East Coast, home, East Coast, home, East Coast, home. Like, that's literally what your schedule was for September and October, wasn't it?
Yeah, and into November, September, October, November. I think I had 7 events in a row where I'm pretty sure it was 7. It might have been 8 where, you know, we're fish for a week, but you got your travel day in there. So I'd make it home, and I'd be home for literally 4 days and then back on the road. And I did that seven times in a row. So it kind of gets my truck. I got home, I parked the truck. It's the first time I've drove my truck since then. I haven't touched it. It's still chaos, you know. I mean, as far as tackle everywhere from front to back.
You're not a hunter either, though, are you?
I like to hunt a little bit, but I can't put all my effort into it like I would like. So I spend my time fishing. Now my boy loves to hunt, so I make sure we get a couple good hunts in for him so he can shoot a deer
John
or two.
John hunts.
Yeah,
Junior?
He loves that.
Yeah, he's one guy you don't ever have to worry about talking too much in the woods.
No,
We talked about it on the show. He'll catch a 5-pounder behind you, and the only reason you'll know it is because you'll hear the splash as he releases it.
Yeah, he's quiet. He's been a sniper though. Ever since I had him shooting a rifle. Probably, I don't know if he was 4 years old, but he was young, and he would just pluck out the turtles in our pond. And so he's a good shot. I've never seen him miss. He's got that temperament to actually be a real sniper. He's calm, accurate. He's pretty deadly. So
yeah.
He loves to shoot.
Huh. All right. Last time we had you on, we had Brad Hallman in studio. You're still kind of coming off of the high of qualifying for the Elite Series. I think it was the first time you'd been referred to as Elite Series pro John Soukup. You've had some time for that to kind of sink in now. The reality is there. You know that in less than 3 months, you're kicking things off with the 104 anglers on the Elite Series. Real quick before I get into that, they did announce 4 days ago, 4 anglers retire. Daisuke Aoki, Jay Yellis, Jesse Takarante, and Chad Morgenthaler. There were also 2 medical exemptions that return for this year, so that means that no one gets cut from the Elite Series. So I believe that gets the 2 that we're going to kind of be on the chopping block or right there on that kind of line where they weren't sure. Gary Klaus and Daryl Gleason back on the Elite Series. Then they add the 9 Bassmaster Open qualifiers from this year, 3 from each division, 3 from the overall. You made it in the overall. And then they also added Will Davis Jr., the Bass Nation champion representative. So that's how they come up with the 104. Anyway, that press release comes out and you're on it. I mean, it's real now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know if you forgot Larry Nixon or not on there.
Yeah, Larry Nixon came back with the Legends.
Yeah, with the Legend exemptions. I was texting somebody last night. It'd be kind of cool if, at takeoff one day, I've got Rick Clunn in front of me, sandwiched in between Larry Nixon behind me. That would be that would be a part of bass fishing history for me. You know what I mean? And there's a chance that it happens. So that's
and then you go to your
cool.
first spot, and Fritz is sitting on it.
Yeah, Fritz is sitting on it.
But I mean, has it sunk in?
It's crazy to think about this. Matt, you know me. I'm sometimes all business, man. So it's like I feel like a feeling of self-accomplishment, but I feel like I've worked hard to earn the right to work harder. That's how I feel. So I think it's settled in, but I'm gonna take it serious, man. I mean, like I got all my screens up, I'm working, doing everything I'm doing for all the businesses, but a few minutes in the day, maybe every hour, I'm also working on something pertaining to next season, whether it's getting my new truck in, I got to schedule new wraps, see if I'm going to add any sponsors. That's going to happen. The new jerseys, all that stuff, putting the parts and pieces for the new boat to get together. You got to coordinate with all the different groups on that side of things. And then meanwhile, I'm doing the same thing for other pro staff here, coordinating, putting their boats together here at the shop. So, I've got a schedule constantly in front of me with a budget and, spreadsheeted out. And then, I've got my off limits days set up and, playing with dates to see if there's any chance that I'm going to be able to go pre-fish or scout, I guess you would say, any of these bodies of water. I don't think I had never been on any of these bodies of water that we're fishing next year. I'm looking through.
You've never been on any of them?
No. I've been on St. Clair because we went to Erie last year, but I didn't make it up to St. Clair, so you could connect the waterways, but no, I've never been. And people ask me about that, but this year with the NPFL and the Opens, those 15 events, before the season started, I'd only been to one of those lakes, and I'd been to Sam Rayburn in the fall. So now by the time the season ended, I'd been to Hartwell twice, and I'd been to Toho twice. Between the NPFL and Opens, they kind of overlapped each other on that. And, for the most part in the NPFL, we only had 3 days of practice. And then the Opens, I really only gave myself 3 days of practice some of that wasn't intended. I only got a couple days of practice, sometimes coming from one event straight to the other. And until the end of the season, the last couple of events, I gave myself almost 4 or 5 days on a couple of those events. So for the most part, I'm kind of prepared for that. People would ask me about that, and I really felt like in my heart that if I was meant to make the elites, then I needed to practice like I was fishing the elites. And so that's kind of, what I did to prepare myself for that.
Okay, I mentioned this on the show last week. We were kind of talking about my situation of, having you and Bradley in the house who both made the Elite Series. And I made a comment, and I didn't mean it in a negative way, but I said at times you're not pleasant to room with. And that's mainly during practice. And I said that almost as a compliment.
You've been visiting with my wife?
No. I see what you did there. But because you get and I've talked with Brad about it too, where I'm like, man, I think I'm pissing John off. And he's like, no, that's just him right now. You get in this deal where you are one track mind, incredibly focused. You have a goal that you want to accomplish. And if something's a little bit off, I mean, you fixate on it. I feel like in your mind, like you try to block out as much on the outside. Fair statement?
Yeah.
Like it bugs you bad if it's not going as planned.
Yeah. I get a little angry.
Okay, so you do the 3 days of practice. I would be curious now, you're through the opens and stuff. How do you break down your practice as a whole? Do you do the same thing in all of the places that you go to? There are so many of the new opens. You'll have 2.5 days of practice on the Elite Series here. Like, what is your practice strategy when you go into all these lakes that you haven't been to before, as far as day 1, day 2, and then the final day?
It depends on if I've been able to kind of scout the lake. Sometimes I'll drive the lake, before off limits, and just kind of from the upper end, lower end, check out watercolor, anything that I can designate or denote, about the water before being able to put the boat on the water. If I've drove the lake, like if I've pre-scouted it, somehow put the boat in, a month ahead of time, then I will not fish. I'll just run the whole lake, and I'll make notes of, everything that I can think of, from cover to structure to watercolor to water temperature to anything of that nature. And that will determine a little bit of where I start. But for the most part, my first day practice usually consists of me trying to get around keepers. I try to put myself in a position where I feel comfortable catching keepers. I don't really care what it is. I'll bounce around quite a bit. I won't usually run all over the lake. As far as like, there's 3 different arms. You're not gonna see me in every single arm unless I'm catching them, and then I'll start looking, and then I start narrowing it down from there to start eliminating different. Day 2 and day 3 practice usually are elimination days, where I'm trying to eliminate other options that are in my head and trying to narrow down to catching bigger fish at that point. That's a brief synopsis of kind of how I focus on it. So, for instance, if I know that there's a lake where it's historically known that fish will school and they may only be 2-pounders, and you're not going to win your tournament there, I'm going to go find those 2-pounders first, and then I have peace of mind, and then I'll break off from there. If there's times where I already know where those fish are at, I already feel really confident in them. I mean, finding them may just be a matter of graphing over them and seeing them. It may not be casting at them, and then for there, I'm going to go to the things in my mind that are eliminating. And eliminating things a lot of times means, making the furthest run that you can possibly make. I'll get all that stuff kind of in or out of my head and, start trying to take that big picture and bring it in tighter.
I'm trying to think. So you're in a unique situation going into the Elite Series because you had such a great season on the inaugural MPFL. You won back-to-back events. So you're competing for the Angler of the Year, all sorts of different stuff. You signed a bunch of deals, so to speak. You had a lot of sponsor interest prior to making the Elite Series. So it's not like you're just a guy who had only, fished the opens. You had $100,000 of wins prior to that. I'm curious, and this is a question we always ask the incoming, how is the sponsor game? Was the phone ringing off the hook? Is it solidifying current sponsors? And then as a sponsor yourself, how much stock then? I mean, I would assume you're running a bass tank wrap next year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to do anything I'm doing. It wouldn't even be a dream to fish. It wouldn't even be nothing would be feasible without the Bass Tank. So the Bass Tank's my title sponsor, and everything I do is to help promote that business. It's not only for my future, my kids' future, but it's also for the guys that work with me and they give up all their time and effort and, to pay their bills and go home and put food on their kids' table. I'm not going to go out there and promote some other brand or company above the Bass Tank. It just can't happen. But it becomes a trade-off because, the Bass Tank has good marketing, good branding. We've got people behind constantly on a daily basis. That's their job is to market the company. Well, partners that have partnered with my fishing, my individual fishing, they get to reap that benefit too because, my boat and stuff is I'm in a lot of the marketing and advertising and things like that. So as far as new sponsors, I've only really been in conversations with a couple companies that were, they're kind of in need and they're something that I would like to work with. You're right. I've really kind of just checked back with most of my sponsors and we just got the verbal thumbs up that we're all good and moving forward the same. Here's the truth of the matter. I kind of joke about it, but it is true. Now I don't mean it in a bad way at all, but I think Saturday or Friday night, I got the verbal that I qualified. And by Tuesday, the next week, I'm getting an email for deposits. And by Thursday, I get the congratulations email. So if you're not together, the way that it's worked out for me, I feel like is the best possible way to kind of have a little bit slower build and have built those relationships, have built those sponsorship foundation to where when I qualify, people would ask me throughout the season, what are you going to do? I'm like, it's a no brainer. I'm going, I'm in. Like I don't have to make a phone call. I don't have to ask. I don't have to try to stir up any more money. Mm-hmm. Now I did press pretty hard over the last 3 years, I'd say, to grow those relationships. And, I was still learning. So I've made some mistakes during that process. But I think you and I have talked about this, Matt. A lot of times as a fisherman, you see your value before other people see your value because you know what's inside of you. You know what's burning. You're like, just give me an opportunity. I'm gonna Michael Jordan this thing in the last second. And so I had a lot of belief in myself. I didn't feel like I was gonna fail. I felt like this was meant to be, that I'd be on the elites. And in hindsight, that seems pretty arrogant, but that's just what I have built in me, and I've felt that way for a long time. So when it finally did happen, I also don't want to go and make those same mistakes and think of myself, oh, just because I'm on the elites, like people should just be throwing. Yeah. So my goal personally is to take the opportunity for the guys that have the companies that have supported me up to this point, all of them, not just the Bass Tank, and go do something with it next year for them. You know what I mean? Bradley and I have talked a lot about, we're going to invest a lot more in, our social media stuff, our YouTube stuff, videographer with us, editor with us, things of that nature. And those are for the benefit of the sponsors. They're not for the benefit of us. Our brand increases, it benefits the sponsors. But, man, let's see if we can get a classic qualification this first year. That's my goal. I'd love to qualify for the classic first year in the elites and, be on that big stage in 2024.
Both you and Brad need to. It blows my mind that Hallman's never made a cup or a classic. Like, he's been the first man out, like, in both of them, like, 3 or 4 times. Like, I just assumed that he's been to both of those, but he hasn't. So I think both of you guys have a very good shot in 2023 of being in the 2024 classic.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I can't tell people how excited I am to get a front row seat and watch Brad qualify because, I was just an Oklahoma kid watching the Bassmasters, rooting for every Okie that was on there. And, back in the day, yeah, Brad was one of them. And so, you're always rooting for him. And then, he went and did what he did as far as needing to spend some time at home and go back to the FLW and win a couple of events. And then getting to know Brad over the years and getting closer with him, you root for him. And then to have the opportunity to literally have the front row seat to it, it's pretty awesome.
couple questions about the MPFL, and I think they're valid because if you look at the qualifiers for the Bassmaster Elite Series, you have Brian Smith, you have yourself, you have David Gasson, you have some of the faces of the NPFL since that inaugural season a couple years ago that are now moving on, and I would assume that obviously you can't fish the Elite Series and the MPFL, but what are your thoughts on that? Is that a positive for the MPFL? Is the MPFL going to struggle to find new faces? Is it a testament to, hey, here's a league that allowed these three guys that are now in the top 104 on the Elite Series? Just kind of your thoughts about the MPFL, because that's kind of what launched you, man.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be in the elites without the MPFL. So when I signed up for the MPFL, it was really just kind of at the point where I was doing a lot of the crappie fishing, so I wasn't bass fishing for a year and a half, and that was for the bass tank to help with the business on the side of that. And I had pretty much accomplished everything locally and regionally that you can. I mean, hadn't won an All-America or anything like that, but I'd been Bass Nation Angler of the Year a few times, been to national championships a couple times, been to the Forest Wood Cup through the coasts. I won BFL Angler of the Year my first year trying. So like I did all those things, and I felt like I was ready for the next level. But you really don't know until, you put the cards on the table, right? So going into the NPFL, I really didn't have any expectations of doing as well as I did. And it did help, man. It helped build my confidence. It helped 100% build the brand and let people know nationally who I was and, what I can do as far as on the water. And so without the risk that the NPF owners have taken to build that platform, I wouldn't have tried to push my way to the elites. I don't think I would have had the confidence even really to decide to sign up for all 9 opens. I wouldn't have had the Yamaha exemption that I got. Yamaha gave me the exemption to get into the opens. And that was, based on the performances that the platform of the NPFL gave. So that is the testament to the NPFL. I don't think they're ever trying to think that they can outshine the Bassmaster Classic. I think they want to be their own platform in their own right, and that there is a lot of individual fishermen out there, some with the financials and some without the financials, but there's a lot more that don't have the financials to be able to do it. But there's a lot of fishermen out there like me that, if given the right opportunity, they could succeed in this fishing world. And that's what the NPFL has done for, Bryant, myself, David Gaston, and really even others. Now, Keith Carson, he fished the Classic before he even signed up for the NPFL. He had already qualified. So he's on the invitational side.
It's a really cool list of guys who have fished that MPFL, and I think they're you'd be able to speak to them. I mean, you're a sponsor of the MPFL. You've won 2 of them. You fish it for 2 years. You just had a testament to that. But I think they're in a really tricky spot right now, especially with the EQs, with what's going on over at the invitationals. And they went up with their entry fees to $6,000, but they're doing like more payout. They're working towards a bigger and actually bringing in like a championship event. I think it's a very, very critical next 2-3 months for the NPFL, and I think this is an opportunity for them to either become established, like really established, or teeter the other way. It'll be interesting to see what happens as far as the movement. I kind of talked with Jeffries about that in the first segment. If there's 175 guys that are committed to the Open, does that mean there's less guys fishing MPFL? Does that mean there's less guys fishing the MLF Invitationals? Where are these 175 guys coming from? And is everything going to be full, or is there going to be a little give and take between kind of those 3 leagues?
Yeah, I think the Opens are getting the nod on that. They're getting the love on that for sure. And I think that they, Ronnie and them, I saw a lot of the interviews, they're getting a lot of flack with some of their decisions. I know Ronnie doesn't make all the decisions, but you know what I mean? He was kind of the face of some of the podcasts. And I mean, it's proven out 175 anglers, they were dead right in their evaluations. I mean, but I think also this plays out over a couple year time period. Some of those guys are going to get burned out, and the NPFL is an opportunity for somebody to fish at a professional level. You can win $200,000 in a year over there. I got pretty close to it my first year, and I think Taylor's gotten pretty close, if not hit that point. So I mean, I'm just talking about in 1 year.
He's won 3. Oh yeah, but in the 2 years he has.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah, I'm talking about 200,000 in one fishing year. You know, like I was over 160 or something last year. So, like it's very possible to make good money over there. And not only that, but they did raise their entries, but they also incorporated a $100,000 championship, no entry fee championship. 100,000 to the winner. It pays down, I think, 25 places. So originally, I think they were going to only have the top 25, but they may have opened that up to the top 40. I don't really know exactly how that's going to where or anything like that. But that is what they're trying to do is build that championship into the NPFL.
While we're just on the different circuits, I did mention, I think you and Brad's come close to winning it. I think you guys need to head to the desert in October and fish that U.S. Open. That would be an awesome little feather in one of your caps. Get a U.S. Open dub in October. Because are you fishing any Opens this year, or are you just doing straight Elite Series?
Straight Elites.
Yeah, and I think that's what Brad's doing too.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about doing some team tournaments, like jackpotting a few little team tournaments if it pops up or anything like that. But I think both of us have the same mentality that, you know, the opportunity to qualify for the elites is one thing, but then we've seen a lot of guys that we're friends with, you know, not be able to hang in there. And I don't want to, at year 3, not qualify for the third year. So you get the 2 years, you know what I mean? For free, I guess. So
and you just stay in the top 75 or something and you're good. Like, that's all you got to worry about.
Right. But if I weren't to do that, because I allow myself to get distracted, because I'm pretty good at that in life, like putting way too much on my plate. Yeah. And it bites you, dude. Like, people don't understand when you're as busy and you do as much as they just don't understand. Unless you're there to see it, you just don't understand, you know? So, like, if I weren't to qualify because I was, believe me, if there wasn't a conflict with the NPFL, I would be fishing the NPFL next year.
Yeah, I know.
And that's because of my love for those guys and what they've done for me, and because of the enjoyment of the NPFL. It's the most fun league that I've ever fished. And so it's probably a good thing that there's conflicts so that I can just turn around, focus on the elites and do my best there. And I've got a lot to learn too, man, a lot to grow. These guys are, I know they're going to put a licking on me some. They're going to send me home, you know, my tail between my legs a little bit at times, but I think we all need that to become better anglers. And that's really what it's all about for me.
I think you're going to surprise them with some stuff. Do you do stuff differently, man? Like, you do stuff so unique. And a lot of those guys do stuff unique too, and that's how they become the best in the world. They're not just copycats. I mean, if you're a copycat and you're doing stuff that someone else does, it's like, how many times are the great athletes, when you compare them to another athlete, they're like, dude, I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm trying to be me, right? But you do stuff that's unique enough, and there's 10 live cameras, and with 100, you've got 10% of the field. You're going to do some stuff this year. Like, I promise you, I've had this conversation with multiple Elite Series guys. I said, he's going to do some stuff this year that make you guys go, holy cow, like, did not even know that was a freaking option. Like, that, you will do that because you've done it just in the 8 or 9 tournaments that I've roomed with you, and I know Brad has, and Brad, you know how Brad is. He's like, yeah, dude, he's a different cat, man. Like, you can't try to be like him. You got to let him do his thing and take the bits and pieces. You'll do some stuff that'll turn some heads, I think. I would not surprise me for you to jump out of the gates like really hot, especially because for some odd reason you apparently to be like a czar in Florida, even though you'd like never been down there and fish. You just like love Florida. I have no idea why, but it doesn't matter whether it's shallow, offshore, forward-facing sonar, whatever. Like, it just seems to fit you, and that's a quarter of the season to kick things off.
Yeah, kind of. There it is. I think Florida suits me because I grew up belly boat fishing. That's all I did was fish when I was a kid. That's it. So pond fishing, belly boat fishing. And Florida is just like a gigantic pond. I mean, it's just all it is. So I look at it like a gigantic pond. I don't know. I've been able to read the fish there pretty well. And I like grass fishing. Now, I will say this, Matt, one of my weaknesses, not that I can't catch fish around it, but I don't feel just overly confident, is hydrilla. I'm not the best hydrilla fisherman in the world. I've caught some fish around it, don't get me wrong, but like some guys, they see hydrilla and they're like, that's it. They've eliminated the whole world. They're going to just settle in the hydrilla and they're going to figure out how to make
like Todd Faircloth or something like that.
Yeah, or
well, pretty much everybody.
Team? Yeah.
Outside of the Ozarks.
But for me, one of my things that I've done in Florida is I get away from the hydrilla. I go find where the hydrilla is not at, because I feel like there's a population of fish everywhere in Florida. It's pretty crazy the high population of fish, and I feel like that Kissimmee grass stuff. It reminds me a whole lot of fishing Lake, man. Just water willow. It's just tall water willow. That's all I feel like it is. So,
except it's harder as I found out, it's harder to get them out once they get in there.
Yeah, you got to target bigger ones. The bigger ones come out easier.
You do have to, if Mercer calls it a hydrilla gorilla, you are going to have to correct him on stage.
Yeah.
Like, actually, Dave, that was a Kissimmee grass giant. All right, we've kind of mentioned the business side, the business stuff. You do have a lot of stuff going on over at the Bass Tank. I want to take our second break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk about what's going on in Oklahoma, in the Bass Tank, what you have going on, especially coming up. I also want to get your take. Not Bass Tank.
I'll give you my
I
tank.
want to get your take on what's going on in the industry. Like, we had a lot of people with COVID checks and stuff would be like, heck yeah, there's the new graph. I think they dialed you up. Now we're kind of getting back maybe to a little bit more normalcy. I want to get your take on that as a business owner, what you see coming up, and then some of the stuff that BTL listeners can take advantage of during the off season to make sure they are dialed and ready to go heading into next year. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, we'll be back. BTL on a Tuesday, last show before Thanksgiving. Surprise guest appearance by Mark Jeffries, Elite Series Pro, John Soukup in studio. I'm enjoying it. We'll be back right after this. Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com.
The new Android series is the peak of the Denali lineup and offers the ultimate Denali experience. The Android series features 36-ton multi-directional graphite combined with interlock blank technology for added strength. Each rod is outfitted with Royal titanium guides that will not fail. The blank is fitted into an easy-touch, soft-feel EVA foam grip with exposed blank reel seat. This all allows the Android to transmit every movement of your bait and even the most subtle bites. The Android series is the finest rod Denali has ever made and offers an angler the ultimate fishing experience with a limited lifetime warranty. See the full lineup of Android rods at DenaliRods.com. Vibrating jigs are a great choice for any time of year, and the Kamikaze Swim-On is a perfect match for any vibrating jig. 2 sizes and the unique tail design gives it a bait fish profile and a great swimming action for realism. There are 17 colors. See them all at BigBiteBaits.com. The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Tuesday. Couple things. First of all, I'm just curious. What do you do for Thanksgiving? Do you do like the traditional Thanksgiving, or do you get like how does that work with your family? Like, do you do the turkey and stuffing and all that stuff, or are you doing like tortillas? Like, is there some different?
No, it's a little bit of a blend. It's more traditional than you think, but we've always got salsa and tortillas. Always.
Because I was wondering that, because you've regaled us over the years with some of the good authentic Mexican food stories when you first started dating your wife. Some of the like how much you loved her, of some of the things that you had to eat that was authentic. We're not talking like Tex-Mex here. We're talking like real Mexican food.
I became a man with salsa. Learning how to eat salsa made me a man.
The second thing that came up, and it kind of ties everything together. I was running those ads where it talked about failure is not an option with the Sunline, and then the different hooks and all that is. And then I was combining it with, I was watching all of the press conferences from Brett Venables and Gundy and all the coordinators, because Brad's got me way too deep into this college football thing now, and I guess that's just who I am. But one of the things that Venables kept talking about, new head coach of OU, is the process and taking care of the details and doing things right every day to take care of the details, and eventually that will show up on game day. It might not show up this week, it might not show up the next right week, but doing things the right way when no one's looking, and taking all those little itty-bitty things as far as like blocking and edge and all this stuff, then hands positioning that no one else notices, and fully buying in and being committed to the process to be as prepared as you can when you take the field. And it occurred to me that you do that in fishing, and it showed up. And when I was talking about you being super serious, like the days where you clean out all your rods and reels, and instead of going, man, if I get all this crap out, it's going to be 7 hours. You know that the right thing to do is to get all that out and to spend the 7 hours and to go through each one with a fine-tooth comb. And maybe, I'm committed to it, but maybe that's where I need to take a cue too, because it might not show up that day, but over the course of the year, that could be 2 or 3 less lost fish. That could be an additional fish because you had an extra 10 rods rigged. That could be a fish that you don't break off because you don't have a nick in your line, because instead of going in, you stayed out till 10 and spooled that extra rod. I feel like you are really good about biting the bullet and doing all those little things that take time and keep you out in the boat until 10 or 11 at night, but you are dialed 100% prepared, and you have taken care of everything that you can.
Yeah, I think that mentally for me, if I don't do that, and I don't get on them right away with the 1 or 2 rods that I have rigged up ready to go, I will stay with the 1 or 2 rods that I have rigged up. And it's weird. If I'm mentally unattached to my tools in the boat, I don't use them. In practice, I might stop and respool line and stuff like that, but I find myself in the tournament to not do that. So I really try to have as many and all the options I can think of in the boat, ready to go. The main lures that I think I may use, I got a special place for those. They're pulled out from the rest. But also, I think that one of the things you're referring to, like on Sam Rayburn, is, going into the first day of Sam Rayburn, which was the last event for the Open, I had heard all these dock talk rumors, and that's one of the things I got to say. In the last 2 years, the biggest misnomer I've seen is dock talk is just fake, man. Dock talk is the worst thing to pay attention to. Everybody's always catching 25 pounds. You're over here scratching your head because all you can catch is 15. And then you end up winning the tournament. And you're like, well, actually, my 15 pounds is better than their 25 because mine was real. I knew how to catch those fish, and they can't recatch their 25 pounds. And so, learning which fish are lying to you, which ones are telling the truth, and going into that first day at Sam Rayburn, I really didn't know what to believe. And because I'd kind of lost my mental edge, and I went and did what I knew to do, and did okay, but I saw glimpses during day one that could be amazing. I didn't put it together, but I saw it. And then when I came in and I saw where I was at in the standings, and it was just like all the relief was, I was like, oh, dude, I know exactly what I need to do to make this thing happen. All like the peace came over me. Like I knew like there's no stress now. I know what to do. So what you saw me doing was going through, literally I had 30 rods in the boat, pulling them all out and calling and saying, there's no chance I'm doing this. There's no chance I'm doing this. There's no chance I'm doing this. And eliminating a lot of stuff so that inside of my boat was a lot more simple. I was really tuned in what I knew I needed to do. I had a couple fail-safe options, but that's all I needed. I needed a couple options, not 30 options for that final day.
I gotcha. How about this transition? Somewhere where you have more than 30 options would be the bass tank, where you have every option necessary and possible in marine electronics and installation. So, I mean, dude, this thing is, we talk about it, but I don't know if we really talk about it. The bass tank blew up, man. Like absolutely blew up. I was just talking with Brad, and I was like, I just remember when he was trying to come up with the name for the bass tank. And I remember my initial gut reaction was like, they're going to think he's a hog trough guy at like outdoor show. Dude, everyone knows what the bass tank is. It's crazy how big that's gotten. And it's like gone like this. Like if you were to do like a graph of your fishing career in the bass tank, they would be like so crazy.
Yeah, they'd be tied together.
But you've got both that are humming. So what do we got going on at the bass tank over? Is this your big time of the year right now? I mean, is this crunch time where a lot of the stuff happens?
Yeah, so typically, and you know, listen, I've got a 4-year timeline to be able to go off of, but I know someone like, you know, the Bouster Group and stuff, they've got 30 years worth of, you know what I mean? And they can tie it into the economy and all that. And I'm just now learning some of that part. This is my first retail company to have actually do retail sales. So typically about this time of year, it is the slowest that it's ever been for the year. And then literally Black Friday kicks it off and it just goes nuts. And I guess that's just the way that we are built as consumers, is to kick off. So yeah, our Black Friday sales kick off, and then typically the shop starts getting full from now through, you know, potentially through April, really. But February is kind of usually the peak of everything. So the Black Friday sales are extremely important to us. We've got like all of our original products are 25% off.
That's the bass tank products.
Yeah. So like,
Hold on.
I got some right here.
I got the website pulled up. All this stuff.
There we go. Yeah.
All that stuff is going to be 25% off.
Yeah, or even more.
Okay.
Some of them are even more off. So,
even the screen cleaner that I've fallen in love with.
The screen cleaner is by far the best screen cleaner anybody's ever used. I promise you. And you have to also know that it's paired with an amazing microfiber rag that we went through like 20 different rags to find out which one worked best with our particular product. It smells amazing. We got some funny ads that are going to come out this next year with that thing. You got right there next to it, you got the A-Rig holster. Anybody that's doing A-Rig this winter, wanting to go after those 10-pounders, the A-Rig, that right there keeps your A-Rig clipped to your rod, and you can have 10 A-Rigs inside your rod box, and they won't tangle with each other.
Okay, I got to tell you this. So remember you gave me 5 of them to give away on the show?
Yeah.
I use all 5 of those. Like, I was like, if I'm going to talk about these, I need to put them on. And then I went to Ted Killer last year and went, holy cow, these things are freaking awesome. And then I just never did the giveaways, full disclosure. I've got them in my rod box right now.
It is for anybody that's an A-Rig fisherman, they really need at least one. It's a stocking stuffer. You can buy it for your buddies. You know, if you're a co-angler and you're going to be throwing an A-Rig at all at any point, I mean, that 100%. Thing right there.
Team tournaments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, team tournaments. I mean, it is the deal for A-Rigs. So we got our power harness. You know, that is probably the biggest thing that power supply is probably the biggest concern that anybody needs to have with all this money that they're investing in electronics. It's the reason the Bass Tank was founded, was because of power supply issues. And so we got a single and a double harness. So if you're running the one, just like if you want an independent line ran, like you want to add active target or live scope to the front of your boat, you can run that. If you want to re-rig your entire boat and run it to both console and the front, that's what the double harness is for. Any installs that are done at the bass tank from the beginning, from the inception of the bass tank, we've used our own personal custom harness that we build. But now we've been able to get it to where we can bring it to retail and sell them retail. So whether someone's installing with us, installing at home, or they've got another installer, that harness is gonna it's an integral part of keeping that power supply clean.
Hey, this is underrated, and I always get strips of this when I come in to do installs or to have a graph or something, and that you guys always be like, hey, here's a couple strips of the Velcro, like high-end Velcro. Yeah. That needs to be in everybody's box, just a roll of that stuff, because it will keep your transducer from getting cut, anything that comes loose, any wires, it's just handy.
Yeah, we've used it for all sorts of things, but the original part is that we didn't want to have, our deucer wires pinched, and so we came up with using Velcro to keep that from happening, and it's worked.
You have the active target Guardians, the soft foot trolling motor cushions, all sorts of clothing. So all the Bass Tank. You can just go to thebasstank.com and then under the brands hit the Bass Tank and check that out.
Yeah, the Guardian is probably one of the coolest original products that we have. Originally, when Live Scope first came out, before even Active Target, but they got the same issue. The lenses on the front would get scratched, and you couldn't get a replacement deucer. And so people were like, "What is wrong with my deucer?" Well, they had scratched their lens, and so it's basically made for when you're towing to protect it from any kind of chips. But you can leave it on any time. Like even if you're going to get in the willows and fish, you're not going to use it to fish with your forward shooting sonar, but you're using it to protect those front lenses and screens. And we've got it on sale now. That $24.95 price is the sale price, and it's a lifetime warranty on that too. So, yeah, but probably our biggest deal right now, we do have some Lowrance products that we have discounted, but probably our biggest deal is the 106 SV, the Garmin, for $9.99, and that comes with a GT50 Ford transducer, so it's got side down imaging, and it can run live scope. So you literally can have a 10-inch screen for under $1,000.
Nice. And those will run through, like, when do they run? How long do people have?
Listen, it's gonna be a first come, first serve situation, but we have plenty in stock. Okay.
You still have how many bays do you have now for installs and all that?
Oh, we've got two. We just have the two main bays.
Because every time I come, you're adding something on.
Yeah, I know. Well, we were working on top of each other's lap for a long time there. We had one office room with, 4 people, and like an office room is about the size of where you're at, and so we finally got some office space, and then we're working on cleaning out our retail space a little bit better, so we can actually have kind of a better showroom. The Bass Tank spawned out of my flooring company's warehouse, so it was a tile warehouse.
It was kind of a nightmare for a while there. It was like this weird deal of like tile and all these weird machines that I didn't know, and then there'd just be like a box of grass.
Yeah.
Now it's dialed. It's so clean now. It's so crisp. Like you walk in and it's like, holy cow, this is cool. Yeah. It's not like open to the public. Like you have to have an appointment to go in. That's your goal eventually is how soon is that to where you will actually have a storefront that if you're driving through that kind of Tulsa area, you could stop in and pick up a hoodie or pick up a.
Well, you can stop in now, but as far as having a real retail space for really showroom for that kind of stuff, probably gonna have to be through this spring. Get through this 2023, see how this economic stuff affects sales and all that before we can reinvest more time and money into something of that nature.
Clay wants to do like a swap shop. He wants you to sell used equipment, and you should do trade-ins and sell used stuff because you just don't have enough on your plate already over there.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that we ran into with that and the conceptual part of that is that we really like to put our name behind products.
Yep.
And even when we sell new products of of certain vendors and they have issues, the consumer always comes back and we get the blame. And so that's something that, like, if we can't fully stand behind it, that's a tough one.
It's also kind of cool how it's worked out, and this is not. So this actually worked out like in reverse. Like, you guys do a lot of pro guides. Like that's one of your main batteries there, both the lithiums and all of the different pro guides. And then recently, also, we had the guys from Beatdown in studio. Blake from Beatdown was in talking about it, and you have all the Beatdown stuff too.
Yeah, I think we've been on the forefront of a lot of those relationships and helped, even in some ways, helped in some of the that telescoping mount of beatdowns comes from the crappie world. That's where it came from, is lifting that screen up higher and doing the long rod thing that you and I have done 4 years ago. And so,
well, you did it and taught it to me. I'm not going to claim that I was like a pioneer in that. You did it, and then I was like, holy cow, this is cool. And then I looked like a monkey humping a football for a year, and now I'm proficient at it.
Yeah. And so it's been really easy to get behind and push people's products like Beatdown, who, I mean, they're the strongest mounts out there. They work the best. They're one of the best companies to work with. They have pole mounts too. A lot of guys, want it not mounted on their trolling motor, so they want a separate pole. So they got those. They got breakaway pole mounts. There's a lot of things that they have, and you can find those on the Bass Tank website as well.
Okay, I saw this on here. I've dabbled in this in the past. It just never came to fruition. I want to get your. I'm springing this on you. All right, the AquaView stuff, John. You guys have a full lineup of there. Not sponsored by them, no affiliation. It's cool. You can like run it on your Lowrance, though. I think you can like wire it so that the view comes through, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
Can't. Okay. Why is that not taken off more? Is it taken off? Like, do you do a lot of AquaView stuff? I know up north it's big and the guys don't talk about it, but there's been so much of this forward-facing sonar stuff. Well, here's a freaking high-quality, high-def camera that you could literally look down and see the dang fish. And guys are like winning tournaments on the St. Lawrence and up north in Clearwater fisheries. And they're like, yeah, I dropped the camera down. I saw the school of fish and I didn't even fish. And no one's bitching about that. It's like an actual camera where you're looking at them. Why is this not taken off? In this Redneckville South type of deal.
It was taken off up north until the forward shooting sonar kind of overtook it, but also COVID got in the way. They weren't AquaView wasn't able to produce as much product, so I think that slowed down. Now I don't know where they're at right now as far as availability, but for a while there they weren't that available. I think that you need clear water. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to use on when Grand's green and that that 18-inch visibility. It's not really going to be something you can use it, but you're going to have to get really close to the fish. But like a 10 killer when it's clean, a Texoma when it's clean. I think that's some of the biggest drawbacks or holdbacks to our region picking it up. We're up north. I mean, dude, it's scary clear up there. I was in 15 foot of water and I could like read a beer can on the bottom, and that's just everywhere up north. All
right, what else we got? Bass Tank. Why is it true that you're auctioning off Zeke Anderson to come to your Christmas party and tell jokes for the highest bidder?
You know what's funny?
Is that on the site?
You know what's funny about that is this is a true story. Zeke was raised on a reindeer farm. Zeke's dad had a reindeer. Yes,
is Zeke 100%. In the office?
Not in my office. He's next door, but he also had alligators. So like when we were a junior in high school, we went to Lake Fork, and Zeke hooks into this like 12-foot gator, and we're in a John boat with trolling motors, and he's pulling the tail of the gator, and the gator's mouth's like wide open. And we're all screaming at him.
Zeke was raised on a reindeer farm
with gators, with alligators.
Okay, well he is our December. He'll be on BTL in December then.
And his dad would dress up as Santa Claus, and he would go to schools and different events, and they'd bring the reindeer. And then they got paid to do it. And I think Zeke was, I'm going to call him one of the elves, but I really don't know what he did for his dad. But his dad, growing up in Tulsa, that's what he did, kind of a side gig. There's a lot of, my dad and his dad were very unique in that they loved different exotic animals, and they were always into different animals. And so his dad's George is a lot like my father in that way. It's pretty funny. Yep.
Speaking of which,
he still has a Santa suit. I guarantee you, I could get Zeke on BTL with a Santa suit, the Santa suit from his dad.
I just want to know about the reindeer. I'm trying to find the deal. Did you see that guy who caught like a 60-pound goldfish?
Well, first of all, there is no 60-pound goldfish. It was probably a koi, and it was colored red, and people call it a goldfish. And actually, koi is just a colored carp, is all it is. It's a genetically colored carp.
Well, this is in the New York Post, and the New York Post is always true.
Yeah.
Here, I'm pulling it up.
No one is it if it is a goldfish or not. Yeah, not a goldfish. That's a koi. That's a colored carp.
A 67-pound koi.
Yeah,
look at that thing. 67.4. Yep. I knew you. Yep. That's why I knew you would bring when you brought up your dad. Like that was.
So that's what we bred. Yeah, we had a fish farm, a koi farm. We bred and raised koi when I was a kid. So, yeah, I've hand bred fish that big before. Not quite that fat.
Hey, do they have personalities? Good. The koi, like, are they? Like, can you actually have a pet fish? I know, because they're super expensive and they're like hand fed and all that.
They do have personalities. So that's Japanese culture. Koi are 100% Japanese culture. So, a part of the value of some of these koi are how they swim, how they float, their body shape, their body language, all sorts of things that goes into which ones to choose to breed. But we would have different koi that would, be more aggressive, would be always the first ones up to eat, or the ones that was always all by himself and stuff like that. But you have to stare at them for a long time to start seeing that stuff. Yeah.
But I think bass are like that too. I think you have some where they're down there and they're like, oh, there goes Jim. He's always the first to eat it.
Yeah, he's been hooked 10 times already. Here he goes. He likes to go up to that UFO up there. I think so. And I mean, I've always been the same, when I was doing all the Bass Nation stuff for the youth kid stuff that I did. And I made a statement. Made the statement. I stick with it. A lot of times in fishing, it's not who finds the most fish. It's who finds the most catchable fish. And a lot of times the most catchable fish aren't the ones that are in the biggest groups of fish for various different reasons. We can go down all that tunnel. But you're right. Not all the fish are doing the same thing all the same time, and not all fish respond to the same thing at the same time. So
that's a discussion for another day, John.
It is. It's a good one, though.
We got anything else, or before we wrap this up, I'll let you get back to the office and then take care of the Thanksgiving festivities. When was the last time you just went out and fun fish for crappie? It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been too long. Yep. My wife we've got a refrigerator in the garage designated to crappie, and it doesn't have any in it right now. And she's been on me. Time to get the freezer full.
Oh, you're out of crappie fillets. John Soukup is out of crappie fillets.
Yep.
I still, probably the two most deflating times over the last 2 years that I've been on the water is when we're on a crappie fishery at the same time, and you go to an area that I just went through, and you said, hey, did you catch any of these fish on the bottom? And I said, what fish on the bottom? You said, all these big crappie that are right here. And I'm like, I didn't see any crappie right there. And you're like, yeah, right here. Whack, 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 whack. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're on a different level. So
yeah, I need to get back. I need to relax, take that big Denali, that bass tank, the crappie tank rod out there, and go boat flip some 2-pound crappie.
It's fun. I did it. I've done it a couple times. Not nearly as much as I need to. Maybe in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we can jump on the water, no cameras, and just go catch some big crappie. Although we do need to do it in separate boats because it is no fun live scoping with you. You're just like, take over the scope. You get dialed in. But that's also why you're 1 of 104 on the 2023 Bassmaster Elite Series. Hey, we got through a show, and you didn't have to answer a single question about forward-facing clarity or transducers. That was intentional, John. That's my Christmas gift, my Thanksgiving gift to you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
See ya. That was John Soukup. Like I said, if you missed the beginning of the show, Mark Jeffries live in studio. Everybody have a fantastic Thanksgiving. We will be back next Monday with a full week of shows. This has been another edition of BTL. See ya.